Going live. And welcome. You know what? It's 6 p.m. here on a Thursday night. No matter where you are on this amazing planet, what that means is it's time for the Laser Livestream. Welcome. My name is Gil Posnianski. We do this every 2 weeks. We get together to talk about lasers, creativity, making, being safe, inspiring each other. And you know what? I'm so glad you were able to come and join me this week as well. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for coming on board. And I'm so glad you were able to spend the next 60 minutes or so talking about something that I personally really enjoy. And that's getting creative and using technology to do that. So guys, if you happen to be in the chat room, I love it when people talk to me. So go in there, let me know that you're out there. Tell me also where you are on this amazing planet of ours so that I have kind of like a mental pin, you know? It's like a mat. I put these pins in there, in my mind, of course. And that way I know where everyone's coming from. And we're trying to build something up here. We'll talk about that in a very, very short time. But I want to, again, thank you all for coming along. I'm really excited to talk about this subject. We're going to talk about material. We're going to talk about safety. We're going to launch another feature of the Laser Livestream tonight. We're going to do the background and we're going to set it all up. So I'm super excited that to be here. I actually find this the highlight of my week when I've got to go and do a Laser Livestream and come and talk to all of you. It is incredible. The end of the day, I rush home, and you know what I get to do? I get to come and hang out with all of you. So thank you so much. Do appreciate that. We're gonna go and talk all about lasers. That's what we do here every single time. It is amazing. But this stream would not happen if it wasn't for the support of two amazing companies that brings this technology to all of us. And those companies are Darkly Labs, the home of the Emblaser, as well as Lightburn, which provides the software that a lot of laser users use and actually runs the Emblaser range of cutters. So it is amazing that these guys, I say amazing a lot because I thought to myself, wow, who'd ever think? But yeah, these guys are behind these streams, bringing the community together, being able to share what we know. And what I really like, and this week, I got to be honest with you guys, I am super, super inspired by what has been handed in and what's been created in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to definitely go into that. Let's take a quick look at the chat room. It's always nice to see the same names here, the same part of this community turning up all the time. I see Audrey from Melbourne. I see Adrian from Cooktown. Adrian, you got to hang around. I'm so glad you got here early. It's amazing to see the work that Adrian's been doing on his machine. We're going to talk about that in a very short period of time. We're also going to, Jen is the other half, or I shouldn't say really other half, but there seems to be a team now of laser users up in Queensland, Mike and Jen, and Mike's there too. Awesome, Mike comes in from Pownex. So we've got Jen, we've got Mike as well, Adrian, Audrey. I'm sure some more people will filter in as the word goes out on YouTube that we are live. But it is just so awesome, and we'll get there. You know, we're gonna go and do gotta take care of the housekeeping. Malcolm's here too. Malcolm's become a regular here on the Laser Livestream as he got his Emblaser core, put it together, and has been doing some amazing work. We'll look at that as well. And Derek's as well is here as well. Hey, Derek, how you doing? At Bateman's Bay this weekend? I gotta be honest with you. I gotta tell you guys, we here in Melbourne, we've been locked down for the last 2 weeks. It's kind of been really hard. We got locked down last year for a large chunk, months and months and months. But right now, these last 2 weeks, it's a little bit like, leaning up against a cheese grater. You know, the first time we did it, those layers came off, and now just even small ones kind of cause issues. So I'm glad to say that later tonight we are, I guess we're out of lockdown, but we are limited to where we can go around until all these COVID cases are worked out. It's been really hard for people in Melbourne and Victoria. So if you happen to be in this area, my heart goes out to you. I know that I've been kind of feeling it. I came home today and I was just like, I know I got the live stream, but man, I'm so glad it's a long weekend. I kind of wish that I could go. I saw Derek saying that he's at Bateman's Bay. I would love to get away for the long weekend. It's not going to happen, but that's okay. Life goes on. It's going to take a small amount of time, and it's really, really crazy what's going on. Adrian's saying it's been 4 times now, man. I know, dude. I know. So again, that's one of the reasons why I get so excited about coming here and talking to all of you. And in fact, you're gonna see very shortly that the lockdown kind of affected some of the plans that we had for the live stream, but that's okay. We're gonna get there. It's okay. So you know what? Why don't we talk about what this live stream is all about? For those of you who might be watching the replay or you're here for the very first time, what's this guy doing? Why is he talking about lasers this way? Why doesn't he just shut up and show us what to do? Show me how to press the buttons. Well, it's not we're trying. We are building something a little bit more unique than just putting out information on YouTube. So let me share with you the intentions of this live stream. There's 4 of them, and I really love these intentions. And it helps to guide what's going on by actually sharing this with you every stream. So let's go to the laser live stream intentions. The first one is to build an creative, interactive laser community. That is the overarching goal of these live streams. It is awesome to see, and to see the same names come by for every stream, be interactive on Facebook, share their work, share their tips, share their tricks. It is awesome to see everyone kind of pulling together and being stronger together than we are apart, which is really awesome. The second intention that I have is to support laser users, all laser users. So, we do talk about the Emblaser, we talk about dyed lasers, but it's been really cool to see a number of people coming into the Facebook group who have CO2 lasers, who are here to share what they know and what they can create. So we are here to share and support all laser users. Our third intention on the stream is to share our knowledge. It is pretty amazing to be able to come together. No one's an expert in every single subject. I know there's been jokes that I might know everything about it, but I'm the first one to say I'm on a journey and I'm happy to share what I know. And that's exactly what we do here. We share the knowledge right across the board, whether it's cutting material that we haven't used before, or maybe it's working out how to etch an image onto some strange material. We share the knowledge both here on the live stream and in our Facebook group. And the last one that we do is we just learn from everyone. I think this is what's really super amazing about these kind of communities and the live stream, is that I was going to say it's a two-way street, and it really is, because it goes both ways. And to be able to come together every second Thursday at 6 o'clock to talk on the live stream, it's amazing. It's just an amazing thing. So these are the intentions. This is what we're trying to do and trying to actively create here. It's not just about putting together a live stream. It's not about selling a product. It's actually about coming together and supporting people through their maker journey, which is what I am incredibly passionate about. So that's pretty much exactly what's going on. I do want to say, there's a new name here, Peter. Hey Peter, am I there yet? You tell me, are you there yet? It's kind of cool. Peter's your dad. Oh, and you're on the right channel. Ah, okay, Peter. Well, I see what's going on here. That's kind of cool. It's good to have you, Peter. If you haven't already, go. I'll tell you all about it in a second. But Peter, it's really cool to have you here supporting Jen and Mike on their laser journey. And Adrian's sharing with us too. It's a continuous learning curve. It never stops. It does stop. Adrian, it stops when we are no longer on the planet. When we have taken our final breath, we stop learning, whether it's about lasers or anything else in your life. So you know what? We're not gonna go and do that. We're gonna move forward. And I've just made so many great friends and so many great contacts, and people kind of reaching out and saying, hey Gil, you know what, I've got an Emblaser and I haven't been able to get it to work for 3 years. Can we organize, can you give me a hand getting it all worked out? I actually just got an email from the other side of the world, and I was so eager to be like, hey man, I'll jump on a plane if you want. But no, obviously we can't do that right now. But yeah, it's just an amazing opportunity to be able to share what is really one of my passions, whether it's using lasers or other technology. It's very, very cool. I know that this is Peter's very first time to the stream, and to anyone else who's watching right now for the very first time, I love, but I should say we, the royal we, I guess, the editorial, as they say. We love interaction. Do not be afraid. This is not just, as I was saying, a one-way street. One of the great things about live streams is you're not watching a video, you are here in real time, and I've got all your chat right up on the window there. So there's a number of ways for you to get involved, and we'd love for you to become part of our community. So how do you get involved? Well, first of all, you can hit that subscribe button to support this project. This channel works out... this channel hosts laser live stream, laser videos, as well as other maker videos. By hitting that subscribe button, it helps other people find out about the project in itself. And if you are here live, feel free to chat. Do not be afraid to converse in these streams. I love looking up and seeing the feedback, especially since that gives you an opportunity to ask questions about what we're discussing. It is awesome. If you happen to also be watching the videos, or the live stream past when it's actually gone out live, we have an email at laser.livestream@gmail.com. You can drop me an email. Maybe you've got an example of some work you want to share with people. Maybe you've got a question. Maybe you didn't get a chance to ask on the live stream. Feel free to drop me an email. And of course, we have the Facebook group, which is www.facebook.com/group/laser-livestream. And that is where everyone comes together during the week or during the 2 weeks between live streams to be able to share what they've created, ask questions. It is just, that group is growing. It's so nice to be able, you wake up in the morning, there's like 4 or 5 other people who want to join the group and just share what's going on or see what's happening. And if you're a member of the Facebook group and you're kind of lurking, don't lurk. ask questions, not just in the live stream, but we love to be interactive, and there are so many great people out there who are willing to help you out. So that's one way you're able to support the stream. The other way is that if you want, in the chat room, you can actually, there's a sticker called a super chat, which you can actually put a monetary contribution through YouTube. Or alternatively, if you like what you've seen here, or maybe you've learned something, maybe we've been able to help you out with a workflow issue or something that was causing you a bit of an issue. I don't know. Maybe we shared some knowledge that was able to get you through the learning kind of uphill battle. So it's now all smooth and easy and flowing downhill. In the description below, there's a one-time PayPal donation, so you can donate whatever amount you would like. That goes directly back into the live streams and buying material for the lasers, so that I can try different things and bring that knowledge to you. So, you know, if you want to, you can definitely help us out that way as well. And you know what? Quite a few people have done that, and I want to thank every person who's actually hit that button or given a super chat in the YouTube kind of ecosystem. All of that is not just a donation that helps get materials and helps the live stream. It's kind of like a bit of a pat on the shoulder saying, Gil, we really like what you're doing. You know, we appreciate it, and keep doing it. So thank you so much for that sort of that support. It's awesome. So let's go over what we're gonna cover tonight. And it's, you know, some of this stuff you've already seen before, not the content, but the format. So let's go and check that out. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to first off go to the Emblaser user showcase, which we're going to, which we do every week. That's showing off some of the projects that users have shared with us on Facebook, and sometimes emailed us in. It's an amazing way to see some of the real inspiring projects. Maybe you'll see something that you want to try, see someone else do it, and then take that kind of motivation to go and try it yourself. Then we're going to go to the laser duel with Dom from Darkly Labs. Dominic, who runs Darkly Labs, that brings us the Emblaser, challenged myself to a laser duel on the last live stream. So we're going to go and share what we've been doing. Then we're going to talk about materials and safety, which I think is going to be really exciting, because this is going to be an ongoing feature of the live streams. So we're going to go through some of the basics, and we're also going to look at some of the material, and I'm also going to discuss how this feature is going to work in this live stream and future live streams. And then of course we're going to go and have questions and answers for the chat. So if you've got any questions about something specific, or you have something that, you know, comes from left field, that gives you the opportunity to be able to ask your questions to myself or anyone in the chat as well. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Hopefully that'll take us to 7 o'clock, maybe a little bit over. You guys know me. I like to over prepare when it comes to these streams. But let's jump into it. Of course, we're going to start with sharing some of the great Emblaser or diode projects that have been handed in and shared by users. So the very first one happens to be our very own Adrian, who's in the chat room. Adrian is a gun when it comes to using different types of materials, including tiles and cork and woods, to actually engrave images. And you can see here you have on the left hand side the original black and white drawing, and then the engraved one that on the right hand side of the Joker and Harley Quinn. So, you know, it's kind of funny when I put these things together. It's starting to become the Adrian show, but I love that Adrian has just jumped in on with both feet. I often see posts by Adrian who says, you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I just pulled this off the laser, and I'm like, dude, you've got the sickness. I know that feeling. I remember doing that myself when I started exploring the idea of doing laser tiles. It is awesome to see your results. And of course, you know, Adrian doesn't just stop with one tile. Here are 2 other results that he's been able to create. One of a hillside, and the other one is, I believe, a line drawing on tile again. These are incredible results, and over the last couple of live streams, you can see the refinement of these images. It is really, really cool to be able to see the progress that Adrian has achieved as he's been exploring his laser. And I mean, I'm curious to see what Adrian's going to do outside the etching kind of subject. I mean, by all means, take it as far as you can go, my friend. But I'm also waiting to see what you'll do with the, using a little bit of etching as well as some cutting to create three-dimensional objects with your laser cutter. And again, this is the sort of stuff that inspires me to go and play with my laser. So that is awesome stuff. Adrian, well done. I know that last week we showed your work and you came in a little bit late, so I'm glad you were able to hear this live, and I really appreciate that you share these images and your results from using the Emblaser core with us at every stream. We stayed up. Jen's sharing with us. Oh, I've got to go to the chat. I got to go to the chat for this one. Jen's saying we stayed up till 1 a.m. finishing the project the other day. That's no joke, Jennifer. When I do some talking about maker community, maker culture within like the education arena, because teachers now have to use some of this technology in the classroom, and they say to me all the time, they're like, look, no one's really getting that, they're not really inspired by it. Like, they think it's cool, but they won't. And I go, you'll be surprised. There will be people who will go and spend half the night and literally have to stop because they've got to get 4 hours sleep before work. I remember that happening to me. And they're the students, and they're the opportunities that you have to really inspire, because that's when you're making something great. When you're actually pushing that envelope to be able to get the result that you want. And it's not just about the machine doing the work, it's actually working out that workflow. And I do use the term workflow a lot in these streams, but that's the key. When you understand how to actually create the result that you want, it's the difference between being an operator, someone who just knows how to press the buttons, and someone who can actually use the machinery and the workflow to express an idea. And that, in my book, is what an artist can do. And there's no difference between an artist who uses paints and a paintbrush and an artist who uses a laser. So you know what? It sounds, Jen, you are on the way to becoming your very own laser artist. That is awesome. Let's go back to the gallery of user work. I mean, I love this sort of stuff. And Jolene shared this. I thought this was really kind of cool. I thought this is really, really fun. So this was one of her first commissions. I believe she was using it wasn't an Emblaser, I think it was a BMO, and her very first commission was a sign for a nudist beach colony in New Jersey. So the sun's out, buns out. I thought that was really cute. I like very much how she finished this piece. She obviously engraved it and then used some color to be able to make that pop. A lot of fun, just such a lot of fun on this project. Jolene, if you get to watch this, I had a smile and kind of was a little bit inspired by your work in a different way. But yeah, that was just a lot of fun. So well done, Jolene. It's really fun for you, for us to see your very first project and how well it came out. All right, we got Mal, who's in the chat room, who's been an active member on the Facebook group, who has allowed us to be able to go through every step of ordering a Emblaser core, putting it together. Well, Mal has actually been able to create some great projects, and this one is obviously a nameplate that's actually scored in the middle, so it can be bent. And you know what, Mal, it is awesome to see you take these steps as a new user, especially to be able to come so far in such a really, really short time. That is awesome. So Mal, when I saw this, I'm like, I gotta share this with everyone. This is just really, really kind of cool. Mike's in the chat room saying the other one's a cheeky sign. Yeah, absolutely. It is really, really cheeky, but fun. Cheeky in a good way. Jen's also sharing that she not only did she have to stay up to finish the project, that Mike's been also mentioned that they're burning the midnight oil, and then Adrian saying engraved portrait coasters while watching this. Perfect. Jen, much patience required. Well, that's almost any skill that you want to learn. It's about kind of having the patience to get through that uphill, and then everything's downhill afterwards. I got to where I am with using the Emblazers just by trying things out over and over again and seeing how they would work. Adrian saying, looks good. You like that sign? Fantastic. And Mal, I also like this project that you built as well. Mal sharing also with us just some scrap ply you had in the shed. Hey man, that's what's awesome about that. I love taking scrap and playing around with it. And again, you're seeing and you're actually experiencing the versatility of your laser. And that's what is so awesome about that. Thank you so much, Mal, for sharing that. And again, it brings me great joy to see you go from putting together the laser to trying to do your first kind of jobs and burns, and then like being able to see you create something like this little name sign. Again, I can't wait to see what's going to come next. I'm really looking forward to it. All right, Mike. Mike's also a regular to sharing his projects, and Mike is very much into railroad modeling, and you can see here he's been using his Emblaser to build old Australian buildings, which he's been going through. And you can see slowly over the last couple of months he started with 1, then 2 and 3. I think he's going to have a whole Australian town in before the end of the year. Maybe he can build like the next megalopolis, just in scale model railway terms. That's kind of cool. I just saw this. Also, I like the fact that these photos he shared actually show a number of these buildings and structures that have been built with the laser. You can't really see too much detail, but all the brickwork and all the rest of it are engraved on material, and he puts it together. Just Mike does some really inspirational work, and good on you, Mike. Let's keep it going, man. Keep sharing what you do with us. I'm a bit of a modeler myself, so again, this is the sort of inspiration that's got me getting my hand back into some modeling, and also being able to just go and create some really, really, kind of interesting projects with a laser in a way I would never have thought before. So well done, man. Well done. We also have Wayne. Wayne came in the Facebook group, and this is the very first project he shared. He took some rocks and he was able to engrave these rocks to be kind of like trophies for a scout group. And you can see here that just very, very clever, just being able to engrave onto these rocks and then obviously hand these out as trophies and I guess not rewards. They're more like markers of service for this Cub Scout group. And again, just thinking completely out of the box, completely being able to take some material and be able to change it up into something new. I think that Wayne was saying the great thing about these rock statues, well, not statues, but awards, was that very low cost. All he had to do was put it into his laser, work out the settings, and then be able to kind of create an individual award for each person. And I thought that was really, really good, really clever thinking for projects like that. And then we come to Jen, and Jen has been, I think, came to the live stream by way of Mike, who I think found us and just became one of our great contributors, is here all the time. And Jen decided that she was going to make for her father a keychain on the Emblaser. And you can see here the keychain says, "You're the best dad I ever saw," which I think is such a great pun on words. But what I really like about this, and I said this in the Facebook group, and I'll say it here as well publicly, is that I love the fact that Jen went from kind of listening about the laser, supporting Mike through his journey, and actually got to the point where she was able to go forward with an idea that she was thinking about and actually use the laser to actually create that. And one of the things that's really kind of been important for me is to empower everyone when it comes to using this technology. We'll come back to your photo in a second, Jen, but when it comes to technology, whether it's using a 3D printer, a laser cutter, a CNC machine, it's all about kind of taking the idea in your head and being able to make it a possibility. And for whatever reason, that seems to be the domain mainly of men, because normally before these machines came out, we have the strength and the understanding and the expectation in a lot of ways to be able to go out there, and whether we're using hand tools, this is a domain that has shifted over the years, but absolutely, there's a big push now to make sure that both sexes feel comfortable with this technology so that they can just express themselves. And it's just so cool to be able to see Jen come on board, become an active member in the live streams, and now also create a gift for a father. And again, this just made me incredibly happy, because without any, coming out and adding things like what I've just explained to you into the intentions of the live stream, naturally, with the exposure of understanding the process, that is a huge, huge step in moving forward when it comes to actually becoming active. So there you go. Jen, you made me incredibly happy. Incredibly happy. You biased, Mike. No, I didn't mean it that. Oh, geez. Did I? What's going on? You always great as always, MD. I think there's a joke going on. I'm not too sure what's going on. I'm gonna leave it there before I second defend. There you guys don't. But you know what, Jen? Congratulations. I'm so glad you were able to work on that project and other projects, and I'm so glad you guys are sharing the laser. That's just. It's always been one of the things that I always wanted to promote, and that is, I always call it the intellect of the mind instead of the intellect of the muscle, right? I mean, that's why STEM making and all that sort of area, it's a great equalizer. The decathlon of the mind is what I used to call it. If you can work out the process, you can let the machines do the heavy lifting, and it's just so cool to be able to see that happening live on the stream. Thank you, Jen. Thank you so much for sharing that. I look forward to your other projects. I'm waiting to hear Mike coming going. I didn't make anything this week because Jen was the only one working on the machine because I couldn't get into my man cave. Well, it's the everyone cave, which is very, very cool. Whew. Wow, we got through all of that. Awesome. So thank you everyone who's in here. Thank you so much for coming in and being able to see and share your journey with me. Like I said, a big payoff for me is to see what you guys create. I know what I'm going to create. I create it all the time. I'm in here either playing with my laser cutter, playing with my 3D printers, or doing it the old-fashioned way. And it is just so cool to be able to see the inspiration that you guys share when you share things like those rock trophies. Man, I would never have thought about that. But now I'm thinking to myself, wow, man, I'm going to find myself some rocks, stick it in the Emblaser. Maybe that could be a really cheap birthday gift for my father. But we'll see what's going on there. You're allowed to be, Mike. Mike says, yes, it is a husband and wife journey. And that is so cool, man. It is just really, really cool to see. Thank you, guys. All right. So you know what? Last week, Dominic from Darkly Labs, out of the blue, threw down a challenge, and we call that the Laser Duel Challenge. It's Dom versus Gil to see what we can actually create. And last week, I spent quite a bit of time thinking about this stream and thinking about what I wanted to do. And I got to be honest with you, I'm a little intimidated. The guy created the Emblaser. If there's one person who understands the capability of the Emblaser, it's going to be Dominic. Right? So last Sunday, I was kind of freaking out a bit, but then I kind of sat down and thought about what I was going to do, worked really, really hard, and guess what happened? Well, we've actually got to delay the Laser Duel by one stream because COVID actually has caused some problems with Darkly Labs, and unfortunately, Dominic didn't get the time to be able to finish his project. That's the official story. I think Dominic was just scared of what I was going to come up with. That's my story. I'm going to stick to it. But either way, I'm more than happy to give Dominic all the time he needs. I mean, unfortunately, it's been a very stressful time here for people in Melbourne and in Victoria. So, Dominic, I don't know if you're watching this live, but it is totally cool. Dominic's going to join us next stream, and we're going to reveal our projects. I'm a little nervous now. I thought I had it in the bag, but then again, we'll see what Dominic comes up. Now, Dominic has done a lot of projects. I think I know all of them. I think I do. So I'm a little worried that he might just go in and take something off the shelf and go, here's my challenge. But no, I am really looking forward to seeing what he's been able to do. One of the things that was really restrictive in the laser challenge or the laser duel for me was getting my hands on materials, because in the lockdown, I couldn't go out and actually go and start scouting around. So my idea started in one place. It ended up in another, and I'm going to keep it. I am definitely going to keep it as it is, and I'm actually kind of refining it a little bit, which is kind of nice. So there may be a few kind of examples of these pieces as I go down that track, but we'll see what's going to happen next week. And more time to reload for the duel. Mike, I know, I was so disappointed. I was all like, hey man, let me go send you a link. And he's like, I need a little bit more time. But look, it's extraordinary circumstances, and Dom has been so kind supporting the stream and all the rest of it. Even if you know what, I feel like someone took a glove and slapped me in the face and said, laser duel, and then came back and said, no, I want to sleep in a little bit more. Just a little bit. And it's like, oh, okay. Dominic's not here to defend himself. I know, that's terrible. I was hoping he would be able to go. But as I said, I think it's more to do with whatever. The COVID lockdown has really thrown a few things out for Darkly Lab. So I'm not trying to stacks on here and be mean to Dominic. He has my utmost respect, and we're just going to get to it next week. So I was really looking forward to it. It's been a real fun journey so far, but I guess I've got another 2 weeks to refine my project, and I'm going to show you guys what I've done and kind of how I actually went about doing it. So we'll discuss that as well next stream. The part about it that's so annoying for me is I want to show you guys what I've been doing, because it's really been taking up all my kind of maker and creative time, but I'm going to hold off until I don't want to give any hints, right? I gotta keep something to myself. So we'll see exactly what's happening there. Dominic may come on, and he may be listening, he may be watching. I'm not too sure. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. Guys, you know what? I just realized earlier on, I didn't, when we're talking about how to support the stream, I forgot to say to you guys, to let you guys know, if you can hit that like button on the stream, that also helps with the analytics for people to find this stream after the fact, and even when it's running. So I don't know if you, if people have been able to do that or not, but I thought to myself, yeah, hey guys, if you could just go hit that thumbs up right now, that would help us out with getting this information out there. And I want to build it as absolutely as strong as possible so people know what's going on, because you know what, the guys at Darkly and at Lightburn, they have been very supportive, but we've also got to get the eyes on here. Otherwise, I'd hate for this to go away. So if you could do that, that'd be really, really cool. All right, so you know what? We're at the stage where we're going to talk about materials, and this is something that I've been looking forward to doing for some time. We're going to talk about materials and why, what type of materials work well, how to use them safely, and why it's really important to understand where your materials come from. So let's go and jump straight into it. And I hit the wrong button because I was on the wrong page. There we go. How about we try it this way? And let's talk materials, guys. So the adventure of using a laser cutter is working out what results you can get from different materials. This is so important. In fact, I'm going to jump back out here now. I remember when I got my laser cutter, I started looking around the house and I kept saying to myself over and over again, what can I put into it? What can I put into it? Paper? Great. Cardboard? Fantastic. Hey, you know what? I've got this scrap piece of material. Let me go throw that in and see what happens. What I didn't understand at the time was, without knowing what type of material I was putting in, potentially it could be dangerous. So I'm going to go, we're going to go through it today, and we're going to talk about why it's dangerous, and also work out, the best ways to be able to get the results you want using different materials. Mike in the chat room is actually saying that you picked up some laser ply today. Laser ply cuts like butter as far as I'm concerned. It is so awesome. It is just amazing to be able to go through and be able to use that. So I'm curious to see what you do with your laser ply. I'm glad to hear that you've gotten some. So let's go back to it. In this material series, we're going to look at some of the most common materials used, the results you can achieve, and how to use them safely. That's the most important thing. Let's be safe when we use our laser cutters. So not all materials are the same. Getting materials from different suppliers does not mean you're getting the same material or quality. And I mean, that's really important. So many times we come onto the stream, or I'm on Facebook and I see people asking questions like, hey, I got some 3mm ply board from Bunnings and it won't cut, but the other stuff I had cut perfectly. What's going on? What's wrong? Other people will say, hey, I've had a board, that I had in the shed, and I tried to put it on there, and it cut wonderfully, and then I went to buy some more material and it didn't cut. What's going on? That's simply because not all materials are the same. They're not manufactured the same. And this does have a huge effect on your safety of your laser operation as well as the final result. Absolutely. Like, you cannot expect, if you're not going to a place that provides the same level of material, and Bunnings, I'm not trying to pick on Bunnings. I really don't want to I don't want to pick on any. If you go to any sort of hardware store to pick up your material, they're not making material that is specifically designed to be used in a laser cutter. You can use it, absolutely. There's no problem there. But it's not designed for laser cutter. It's designed for building or small projects. So what you end up having is a situation where, a general hardware store is always looking for the best price when they're buying materials. And if it's coming from a different supplier, they aren't looking at what kind of glue they're using or their finishing process. They're looking at being able to get the best price so they can resell it onto you. That's business. I'm not saying that's a problem. Just be aware of that when it's going on. Hey, Sam. How you doing? Welcome back. I'm really glad to see you here. Adrian said, I ordered canvas frames today, trying something new using the Norton method. Excellent, Adrian. I'm looking forward to that. And then Jen also sharing with us that Bunnings ply is like buying a one-size-fits-all pair of pants. They don't always fit. Absolutely, right? That's part of what I want to share with you today is just be aware that if you're buying, let's say, MDF or plyboard from one place and you buy it from another, there's a lot of variation that you should just be aware of. Now, why is this an issue? So when you're cutting or engraving any material, you're using a high beam of energy, which is basically heat, to either melt, burn, or vaporize away material. And when we're talking about either diode lasers like the Emblaser or even some CO2 lasers, we're actually using a vaporization method to cut or engrave different types of material. And this is kind of really important because, and I wanted to get this is the explanation of the vaporization cutting method that these diode lasers use. This actually comes from Wikipedia. You can see there the link from it. And I want to just read this out to you so we're all on the same page. And it's, as it says here, in vaporization cutting, the focus beam heats the surface of the material to flash point and generates a keyhole. The keyhole leads to a sudden increase of absorption, quickly deepening the hole, which means that energy, once you've cut through that hole, it just becomes a very fast process of absorbing that energy and basically burning away that material. As the keyhole deepens and the material boils, vapor generated erodes the molten walls, blowing ejector out and further enlarging the hole. Non-melting materials such as wood, carbon, and thermoset plastics are usually cut by this method. All right, so what's that mean in English? It means you're actually vaporizing the material and actually turning it from a solid into a gas. In the case of wood, you're actually burning it off, but in plastics and other material, paints, anything that you're putting in there, you're actually kind of vaporizing it to a point of kind of a very, very almost, I don't want to say atom, but molecule type sizes. And that's when you can turn a solid into a gas. And that's why ventilation is so important when you're using a laser. Whether you've got a ventilation system that came with your laser or if you're sticking a hose out the window, this is one of the reasons why we've got to be really aware of what makes up the material, because when you vaporize it, you're turning it into a form that's very easy to breathe in and it's very easy to transmit. A lot of dangerous chemicals are quite safe while they're in a solid form, but if you turn it into a gassy form or gaseous form, that's where there's a major problem. So just again, be aware of that when we go through some of these materials. And again, I just want to share with you guys what's going on in the chat room. The cheap shops like Reject Shop are good for materials. Interesting, Mike. I bought some acrylic paints that weren't acrylic paints at all from the Reject Shop, but I agree it's great to be able to get some materials or just be aware of what the materials are made of before you put them in your laser. And Mal also sharing, I like the sharing of the settings used on a material to achieve an outcome. It gives you a starting point. That's exactly what the library settings in Lightburn are all about. And Adrian sharing, that's what I do, Mal, so other users can do the same. Yes, absolutely. When you can share some settings and actually get a result, it is Amazing. One of the things that I've been meaning to do, and we haven't done it yet, but is to actually work out. There's a methodology that Dominic showed me how to actually work out what some of the settings are. If you're going from zero and you haven't got any settings to work off, so we should do that in the future. Let me know in the chat room if that's what you would like me to do. Good to use the show notes option on a project to make tips, notes and tips on your projects. Yep. And Jen also sharing, it's true that's tricky starting from scratch. It's great when you have settings in Lightburn for materials, but still find it needs tweaking. So having feedback from the community is super helpful. I agree. Absolutely. All right. So we talked about that. So let's talk about the materials. What you cut is being released into the gas as gas into the atmosphere or into your room, and it's like this is where a thing called safety data sheets and testing kits can help you understand what the materials you're working with are made up of. If you haven't bought the material, if it's something you found around the house, if you bought an object that you want to, let's say, use in a project, this is a great way of being able to work out. And in the future, if you haven't read a safety data sheet, I'm going to bring one on board on the stream, and we're going to go through it. Now, these sheets are called different things in different regions. In Australia, they're called safety data sheets. They usually tell you what the material is made up of, and that's really super helpful to work out whether or not you're going to be maybe releasing something dangerous when you're working with it. The other part about this material is that you can do. I'm in the midst of putting together testing kits for people if they're interested, so that you can test material for, let's say, chlorine. And of course, I've done a video about how to do that. A lot of people have come back to me saying, "Gil, that's great, but I can't find the materials to be able to do it." So if you're interested, and since we have such great regulars here on the Laser live stream, we're going to actually, when we release these, we're going to give you guys a big discount on getting your hands on it, on these kits. So that's, again, one way you're able to actually get an idea of what is in the material that you're actually cutting. So let's look at some materials, and I'm going to welcome you guys to a new series here on the Laser live stream. We're going to call it the good, the bad, the ugly. Every stream, we're going to go through 3 different materials, one good, one bad, one absolutely ugly to work with. I was very tempted to start whistling see, I can't even do it. Let me see if I can wet my lips and do it again. Here is the good and bad, the ugly of materials when it comes to using them in your laser. So let's take a look at the good, and we're going to start off with a material that most people have actually had experience with, and that is good old wood. Now, wood can include things like plywood, MDF, and hardwoods. What's really interesting with this is the main gas that's released is usually smoke from burning of the material. So it's an organic material, so you don't have to worry too much about it, but it is smoke. So if you're using your laser in an enclosed area, make sure you've got some ventilation. I was working with some plywood the other day at a school, and their laser wasn't sealed, and in this small area, boy, it got a little hard to breathe. So we're going to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. And really, just to be aware of, as a warning, is just beware of oily, resinous, or painted woods, because they can be a fire hazard, and they can, depending on what the resins are or the paints, they can actually be a kind of a toxic hazard. Now, before we move any further on, I had to put this photo on there. Can anyone in the chat room tell me what the issue is right now in this photo? There's a huge safety issue when it comes to cutting this piece of wood. And I'm just curious if anyone is going to call out what the issue is. So I know there's a little bit of a delay here on YouTube when we talk about ask questions. So it's just a really interesting one to see whether or not you guys pick up on it. I'm sure with all the work we've done together, I'm sure you guys will definitely pick it up. And Mike would like to work out how, we'll definitely do a tutorial together on how to actually work out settings from scratch. And Mal shares with us that his core is in his shed at the moment because I haven't made up a case yet to help vent it. Mal, one of the things that I have done when I was playing with the core, I don't have a core as such. I built one at Darkly Labs, but I realized that on a summer's day, I would actually go and take out the core into the backyard and be able to use it with free flowing airflow. You wouldn't have a problem with venting anything. And Mike comes out, absolutely, the hands. This guy is holding a piece of wood as a laser is going out there. And Mal asking the question, why does the person has his hand in there? I have absolutely no idea. This is a great way to lose a finger or at least burn and hurt yourself. Now, I don't know if this was a diode laser, which I can tell from the actual laser head is not. This looks like a CO2 laser. There's a risk to actually harming yourself, and also to get your hand into the area which was going to be cut. You have to actually probably bypass a trigger, and you've also got a vision issue here, because if that laser happens to refract, you also possibly could injure someone visually too. So Adrian's sharing, a CO2 laser beam is invisible, the lid needs to be down. Absolutely. So there's really two things in here that when I saw this photo of, I was Googling, items being cut, wooden items being cut by a laser. I thought, wow, what an interesting lesson in that for just safety. If I would be mortified if anyone here on the laser live stream would put their hand in a laser as it's actually operating. Burn your fingers, Gil. I'm going to share with you something that actually happened to me, Mike. Yeah, not the best way to trim your nails. So when I first got interested in lasers, one of the things that I did was volunteer to be the coordinator for a laser cutter that we had at a makerspace. And that was really interesting because some guys came on board, tried to help out, but what they actually did was kind of fry the electronics on this laser. It was a Chinese-made laser. So we organized someone who had a little bit more expertise to come in, and we were lining up the mirrors of the laser, which meant that we needed to be able to fire the laser safely, of course, but we had all the cowling out, and we did this in a day where no one else was in the makerspace, so there was no issue of injuring anyone by having some laser light refract. And I happened to have my hand in the path of the laser, and I think this was a 50-watt laser. And for the person I was working with, who shall remain nameless, believe me, he said we're going to fire, because we were trying to make sure that the mirrors were firing the laser at right angles, so we could get all that energy down and be able to put it into the material. And I said nope. And the minute I said no, he actually triggered the laser, thinking I was saying yes. And I actually had, for one split second, a 50-watt laser shoot through my finger. Now, it didn't go through the bone, but all the soft tissue literally cauterized, and it was almost as if someone had taken a super hot needle and poked it through my finger. And I actually have the scar still. It took a few weeks. It took about 3 weeks to heal, because the skin, the flesh area, just boiled off instantly. Now, he felt terrible. It was a legitimate mistake. He assumed that what I was going to say was yes. I had my hands in there. It was a little bit too much eagerness. I'm glad I didn't pull my finger out, because the minute it happened, I don't want to say that I was smart enough to hold my hand there. It just happened so quickly. It was literally a boop, that by the time the pain was transmitted up to my brain, the laser was off. But it literally felt like someone had heated a needle and stuck it into my finger and then pulled it out straight away. So it hurt. And it hurt for quite some time, even though it cauterized the wound. There was no blood. There was nothing like that. It was, it hurt. So again, seeing that photo, it's just kind of like, guy, dude, don't do that. Do not do that. I learned the hard way, not only to be safe around a laser when it's armed, but don't let someone else trigger it. If your hands are near the path or anything like that, don't let someone near the fire button. And also don't pull your hand out if you suddenly feel, because that would have just literally cut almost like a knife wound right across my finger. So yeah, that was not one of the greatest days, but it definitely taught me a very interesting lesson. I remember going to the Makerspace president and saying, "Hey, do we have any work care claims?" And he goes, "If you do that, we're going to shut us down." I said, "Nah, I'm just joking." It's all kind of cool. Not good for tattoos either. Yes, absolutely, Adrian. Wow, lucky you kept still. Could have been horrible. Yeah, Jen, it could be. It could have been, and that's why I share this story. So, also talking about wood, when it comes to settings, that you can find a number of settings for different woods to use with the Emblaser or any type of. I'm sure. I don't have another laser except for the Emblaser, but there are settings all over the internet, and I'm sure there are other Lightburn libraries out there for specific machines. So you can find settings in the Lightburn library, but it will dare from printer to printer. What printer? We're talking about laser. I'm gonna have to sue the person who wrote this card, which is me. Okay, Gil, you're gonna hear from my lawyer. We'll change from laser to laser. And when it comes to the finish, you can post-process wood quite well. You can see the example here. I kind of saw this and it was pretty amazing. You can see the different parts using paint and sanding it down and even sealing it, that you can get an amazing result out of wood. And if you haven't used wood before, that is a great place to begin if you're going down your laser journey. It's a lot of fun, and there are so many different options you can use out there. Just make sure it's not painted before you cut. And I know there are some people who do that. If you are going to paint wood, make sure it's a non-toxic paint, because again, you don't want to vaporize that and get a lung full of whatever the paint was made out of. So there you go. There's our material, the good for this week. Wood. Give it a shot. Let's go talk about the bad, right? This is something that I've seen a lot of people use, and it's a plastic called styrene. It's used a lot in model making, prototyping, and signage. Styrene releases toxic gas. So depending on what the styrene is actually made of, you need to check the SDS to work out exactly what it's made up of. Some plastics that are labeled styrene are actually ABS, and ABS we're going to talk about in a second. Is you don't want to be putting ABS into a laser, or it could be a form of PVC, which again you don't want to put in because that releases chlorine. So make sure, at least here in Australia and some parts of the world, the term styrene plastic actually is kind of a broad statement. So if you're going to use it, please do your homework. If you absolutely must use it, just be aware that it's going to generate a lot of smoke when you start cutting it. It happens to melt and turns into a bit of a blob, which is messy for your machine. And it's one of those situations where if you've gone too hard with the energy and it's heated up, it could be a problem. It'll curl on you. And if you are going to cut styrene, only use thin pieces, nothing, generally around 0.5 mil. So, as opposed to anything thicker, because the more energy you need, the more, it's going to be a problem. But with that said, here are two examples. You can see some, I believe that's some model houses with some windows cut out on top. And then you can see this piece. Again, it's a very interesting piece. I'm not sure what it was for. I would assume it's for a model that was cut out on a laser. And I actually did some research and saw that a lot of people who have cut styrene have done so, but it does take a lot of kind of fiddling around to do that. So it can be done, but again, the question is why call this a bad? Right? Is that you can do it. You're just going to need to do some testing and make sure that you're safe before you actually move forward on cutting that. So styrene is definitely something to be aware of. It's out there. A lot of model makers use it. They call it Everstrip or EMA. When it comes to plastics, make sure you understand what's in the material before you stick it in your laser cutter. Now, Jen, you've asked me what's my favorite kind of wood to work with. Originally, it was MDF because it was cheap. I can get 3 mil MDF quite easily. It's great for prototyping. The only problem I found was because of the manufacturing of MDF, you never know what it's made up of. So you may have some boards that are fibrous, which means you can do 6 or 7 passes. I've even done 14 passes, and it never came out because the fibers in the board keep the piece stuck in. But on that same piece, a little bit further along on the left-hand side, which is on the left-hand side for you guys, the pieces fell out every single time. So originally it was MDF, but right now I really like the laser ply poplar. The minute I started cutting on that compared to having the experience of using plywood from Bunnings or MDF, the laser ply is, oh my gosh, if I can afford to, I will use that absolutely every single time. And you can get it in a whole bunch of different thicknesses, from 1 mil, 3 mil, 6 mil. Yeah, I think you can even get 12 mil. Now 12 mil is a little too heavy for the Emblaser because we've got a limit of 9. But yeah, it is so awesome to be able to use that popular. Did I say 9? I mean 6. 6 mil is our limit. Yeah, I find that I know that Mike has got some laser ply. You know, the difference between that one pass to cut through, it's amazing. And the reason why you're able to get those results is that laser ply is manufactured within a very stringent tolerance, so that every time you use it in a laser cutter, you're not coming up against knots, you're not coming up against the fibers. You do have to pay a little bit more to get that material to get those results every single time. But wow, it just saves so much messing around. So right now, I really like that wood. And then you can stain it, you can paint it, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe I'm giving away a little bit about the laser duel. We'll see. Jen, you're getting me into trouble. Dominic's now going, I got him. But we'll see what happens. Adrian saying the alternate material you can use for that is ADA signage acrylic. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm sure you're right, Adrian. You put me onto Trolleys. I'm gonna go pick some up next week now that we're out of lockdown. So I'm really looking forward to playing with Trolleys on my laser. But it'll be really interesting to see what we do. But I'm not too sure what signage acrylic is. I'm assuming that it's solid colors. It's not see-through, because of course that's not gonna work on a diode laser. But I'm going to do some research. Thank you for that. And Mike says, would be interested in your settings you use. Mike, the settings I use come straight out of the wood poplar library setting from Darkly Labs. That's I've never needed to modify it. Just to let you know, that's the one setting that I've never needed to change. And if anything, I kind of back the power off when I'm engraving, because recently it engraved quite deeply, and I just wanted a kind of a shallow engrave. So, just go explore, man. You're going to have a ball with that. I'm telling you, it's going to change the whole thing. I know that with the Kate topper that Jen made, I'm telling you, the poplar would have got that job done probably in a third of the time. We cut with this week, Jen says. Okay, it came out nice and clean, though we needed to use 4 passes. Is that with the laser ply poplar? We use masking tape over the top to make it even cleaner. Interesting. All right. Well, Mike, I'll go and send you my settings anyway, so it's not going to be a problem. If that's what you've used. I'm not sure where you got the material, whether you got it from Darkly or from someone else, but the material I got from Darkly was never an issue, and I didn't even need to use masking tape. I'm going to try that next time. I am. I just realized that you might have just answered a question that I was having with my project, so we'll see. Guys, let's move on and let's talk about the ugly materials. And the ugly material here is ABS plastic. This is a common plastic used in packaging, objects, and even 3D prints. And why I bring up the 3D prints is I've seen people print stuff out and then want to put it straight into a laser cutter to engrave onto it. And that is a huge no-no, because ABS plastic releases hydrogen cyanide, which is unsafe to be released in any condition. I wouldn't even do it if I was outside. It's scary. And ABS plastic melts, and of course it emits hydrogen cyanide, as we talked, and it catches on fire really quickly. And you can see some examples there, like my Optimus Prime that I wanted to take and actually engrave my name so no one would steal him. Don't do it. The cases on computers or routers or even Lego itself is made out of ABS. ABS is definitely become a mainstay of plastic due to 3D printing. The very first kind of materials that was used by hobbyists and home 3D printers that worked well was ABS. The only problem with it is it emits a noxious gas when it's heated up, and that's why very, very quickly people started turning to PLA, which is polylactic acid. That's based on sugars and like corn syrup and things like that. It's also meant to be biodegradable, but ABS is a very strong, forgiving plastic. But the only problem is that when you heat it up in let's say a 3D printing nozzle, you're only heating it up to 200 just to make it kind of viscous so you can push it through a nozzle. When you're putting it in the laser cutter, you're vaporizing that. And that material that you're cutting away is now airborne, and you do not want to start breathing that sort of stuff in anywhere. So guys, as I was saying, the ugly material for this week is definitely ABS plastic. Do not play with this. Play with it. Just do not put it into your laser cutter. It is almost as dangerous as PVC. I guess in this case, the cyanide is not it will eat away the electronics of your machine, but it will actually harm you far, far quicker than any other, substance in that material. So please don't do it. Don't do it for me. That's an ugly thing. Ugly things do not put into your laser cutter. That's a big red flag as far as I'm concerned. Mike sharing with us that masking tape stops the slight overburns as it cuts in the first pass. And Jen saying, yeah, the masking tape really helps with those little bits of burn residue. We'll post a pic of the difference between the two. Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Jen. Thanks. Again, I just went and got some just normal masking tape, so I'm going to play with that with some of the prints that I was doing. Next laser live stream, I'll actually go into depth of how I got around some of the burn marks on some of the things that I've done. So what we're going to do, as I said to you, I'm going to pick 3 materials each week, and we're going to discuss them just so you guys have a starting point. If there's any, if you guys want me to delve deeply into some of the materials that are, the good and settings and all the rest of it, please let me know, and I will definitely provide them either on future live streams or in the Facebook group. It's just that simple. Mal sharing with us here in the live stream, I heard something about moisture resistant MDF for laser cutting the other day. I'm going to look into it more. I have never heard of moisture resistant MDF. Please let us know. And Adrian saying, even printing, it can make you sick. Yes, Adrian. Funny story outside of lasers, but I had a friend of mine who got himself one of the really early, I think they were the up 2 mini printers that were coming out. We're talking very early days. And he would print in his bedroom at night. Now, I thought it was totally crazy because I could not fall asleep with a printer going off in my room. And, about a month and a half, 2 months in, he came up to me and he was like, I'm really worried. I'm like, what are you worried about? And he goes, I'm having problems. My doctor thinks I'm asthmatic. And I'm like, yeah? And he goes, yeah, I've been having problems. I'm wheezing. I can't breathe. And I'm like, oh, and we're talking. And as he's talking, I said, how's your printer going? He goes, yeah, no, it's good. I'm printing lots of stuff and, it's great. And I'm like, where did you put it? And he goes, in my bedroom. And I said, okay, so you're printing when you go to work? He goes, no, I print at night. And I went, oh, okay. And I went, do yourself a favor. Take the printer out of your bedroom. Now, he was printing ABS. And what was going on is he was sleeping 8 hours a night, breathing in the off-gassing that was coming from the 3D printer. Now, not half as dangerous as what would happen if you put it into a laser cutter. But he went, you think that's the issue? And I said, it couldn't hurt, right? Can't hurt. Anyway, within 2 weeks, his asthma suddenly disappeared. So I was like, wow, all right, man. I mean, that was, again, very early days where people were just excited about the technology. We still laugh about that. And I'm like, how's your asthma? And he goes, nah, I don't bother. I don't print in my bedroom anymore. So yeah, ABS poisoning. I don't know if it was ABS, but it was definitely something that was being activated. If you walk into a room that has a 3D printer going on, heated plastic, it has a very unique smell. You know it instantaneously. Even though PLA is considered safe, I do my best. I do have a number of printers behind me. The one that I'm pointing to right now runs quite often. Normally, I have a cover on it, but I had to lend the cover to the company that lent me the 3D printer. I really need to get that cover back. The difference with and without it is phenomenal. And what I will end up doing is opening up the windows before I actually come into the room, just to vent the room out. And again, you guys have met Avery, my cat. I don't want him sitting in a room with all these vapors in there. So just in the same way that, with a laser cutter, just be aware when you heat things up, things tend to change forms. So just be aware of it. I know, Adrian, you also, print when you sleep, but your machines are fully closed inducted. I'm like, That's cool, man. I remember seeing the first photo of your work area, and I was like, wow, I hope Adrian doesn't print while he sleeps. But you know what? I get it. I totally get it. You know, you gotta create when you get where you gotta create, and that's a beautiful thing. So yeah, you know what? That's just stuff that can happen, right? It just stuff happens, and we learn from it. Let's just hope that all these lessons aren't issues that are gonna cause problems down the track. I sometimes wonder if like I'm gonna get to my 80s and be all like, I lost a lung because I was 3D printing and laser cutting. I'm sure it won't be. The great thing is that the human body actually regenerates itself every 7 years. The body you have now is not the body you had 7 years ago. So we do have if you're kind to yourself, you should be able to deal with whatever is thrown your way, guys. If you've got any questions, now is totally the time to ask. Whether it's something to do with maybe a project you're working on or something we covered here today, please let me know. It's gonna take a few seconds for you to get that through. But and if not, we're going to call this laser stream done. But Jen also sharing with us, wow, lessons learned. Yeah, we definitely have. We don't leave it alone, but mainly because we don't have the model that has an inbuilt safety mechanism to switch it off if there's a fire. Jen, let me tell you a little secret. By the time that safety mechanism actually comes into play, the machine is on fire. Like you've lost your machine. Right. So I know a lot of people think, well, if I get a little bit of ignition, right, the system will just shut it down. It doesn't work that way. There's a significant rise in temperature that has to be generated for that interlock to cut in and actually cut power to the laser. Now, at that point, your machine will be on fire. The mats, probably the laser housing, you will probably need a brand new machine. So if there's anyone out there with a Emblaser 2 and it's just like, that's cool, I'll go out and let the machine run and it'll be fine, that interlock will help, do not count on that. A smoke detector that you can put in the room is going to be your best friend in a situation like that. So yeah, I know it sounds like this great, super, amazing piece of technology that's been incorporated into the Emblaser 2. It's really a last ditch a kind of fence to make sure that if there is some sort of ignition source, that you're not feeding more energy into it and keeping that alive. But yeah, it's I thought the same way you did, Jen, until I spoke to some of the guys down at Darkly, and they were like, we had to make it specifically higher because if the machine heats up in normal use, we didn't want to cut the actual power to the laser. People don't like it when you're halfway through a project and it doesn't work. And until recently, you couldn't even restart the project. Thankfully, Lightburn was able to allow us to go to a certain point and restart the project there. So, it's just something to be aware of. It looks like everyone's kind of cool with questions, so that's great. Yikes! Lucky we have a smoke alarm in the garage. We're not leaving it alone. Smart man, your husband, for putting a smoke alarm there. Look, being around and having ventilation the way that Mike has actually worked that out, and has a ventilation thing, you're going to be fine. You're going to absolutely be fine. If you've got flowing air out of an area, that's great. I know that my Emblaser that sits here has one of the filtration units that Darkly Labs sourced for the Emblaser. Totally safe. Can be used in a room. It's absolutely safe to use. So, you're not looking at a lot of you don't have to go overkill. You don't have to put it into a bio room, right? And all the fumes are, negative pressure and it can't come out and all that sort of stuff. You just need to be aware of what's going on, and even opening a window can actually dissipate a lot of this sort of stuff, the stuff that's generated in. As long as it's not cyanide, as long as it's not, a toxic poison, you're pretty cool. And even in a situation like that, you got to be really unlucky to ingest or inhale enough that's going to, you're going to keel over. But then again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guy, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical thing. Don't be like, Gil said, and I don't understand why I got sick. Don't be like that. Just play it safe. As Mike said, your eyes are your best safety tool. That'll be frustration. Yeah, never leave mine alone, says Adrian. I don't leave mine alone either. I may go into the other room, but I'm always listening out to the machine. The machine stops. The machine stops moving, and it's firing the laser suddenly. I'm in here like a shot because the minute the motor stopped moving the laser head, you've got an ignition problem, a lot of energy going into one spot. So, common sense can help you out in a long way. It absolutely can. But it sounds like you guys are doing everything right. And, if you happen to be listening in on this stream for the first time and you're, interested in using lasers and all the rest of it, don't be afraid. It's not a lot to learn. Once you understand the basics, it's a really rewarding way of being able to create. And that's why we're here every couple of weeks. I'm always in close proximity of mine. Me too. Absolutely. You know what? I'm looking forward to possibly, I shouldn't even say this. Do you think maybe a future model of the Emblaser might have a camera that we can watch on a computer? I think we should mention that to to Dominic. Next one, I want to have a video feed constantly through Wi-Fi. That would be awesome. That would be absolutely awesome to be able to do that. I guess I got to get the next laser up and running. I thought I'd have it already. It's not here. We want our Emblaser now. I'm being silly. Guys, I want to thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today. I've got to be honest with you, these last 2 weeks have been really, really hard in a way I never expected. And just knowing that not only is the lockdown here in Melbourne going to be lifted or eased up, it's not going to be lifted, it'll be eased up a little bit. And then spending the evening with you guys talking about laser cutting and sharing kind of what I'm so passionate about. Oh man, you guys just weight off the shoulders all the time. If you happen to be working on a project or you need to get set up and all the rest of it, guys, I just want to let you know that virtual classes and one-on-one tuition is open. There's a few people who have taken up on that. The feedback has been fantastic. Drop me a line at laserlivestream@gmail.com. That's the best way to get in touch with me. No matter where you are in the world, we can reach out, whether it's working on a project, whether it's trying to get a feature working, whether it's some tuition in Lightburn. I'm here to help, and it's pretty amazing to be able to help out all the people that's around here. And you know what? It's just really, really nice to be able to do that. Jen says yes to the camera. Mike says that'd be great. That should be proximity, not proximately. Oh, that's Mal. We knew what's going on. It's all good. And Adrian says an electric adjustable bed for the E3. Adrian, how much do you want the E3 to cost? Oh my God, an electric adjustable bed. I mean, it'd be nice. Don't get me wrong, it'd be nice. But the unit, one of the things that I love about the Emblaser, and from what I understand, is it has to work on a desktop. It has to be able to be moved around as opposed to being a piece of equipment that you put in one place and a stand and all the rest of it. In my book, an adjustable bed would actually change the whole design model of the Emblaser range, but that's just me. You know what? We'll pass it on to Dominic if he says yes. Hey man, you got it. Mike saying, great stream, new projects in the work for next stream. Thank you so much, Mike. It's great. I'm going to see there's going to be a battle between Mike and Jen now for all the projects, so that's kind of cool. I also want to thank the sponsors for this stream, both Darkly Labs and Lightburn. You guys are awesome. You make incredible products, whether it's the laser cutter from Emblaser or whether it's the Lightburn software. I don't know how many people say to me, Gil, did you like Lightburn before they sponsored you? I'm like, hell yeah, because I used to use weird laser software, and it was designed by engineers, so you had to do math. I like the fact that you don't have to do math. I love the fact that you can go and just design something in Lightburn, and you can simulate it. You can send it straight to the laser, and they're coming out with features all the time. I can't wait to see the next couple of features. That print and cut, oh my gosh. I don't know how many times I made stickers for people, even one-off stickers for people, and they just like, that's awesome. How do you do it? And I go, I got a laser cutter. And they go, a Cricut? I go, no, a laser cutter. And they go, what's the other one called? It's another one of those kind of, plotter cutters. And I go, no, I got a laser cutter. And they go, you can't do that on a laser cutter. And I'm like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's all about the features. Incredibly, Lightburn made the Emblaser a much more universal. It's almost like a Stanley knife of laser cutters now because it can do so much. So it's absolutely amazing in that sense. Sam, thank you so much for hanging out here. Thank you so much, Gil, for so informative. Great to see you. Good to see you too, Sam. Definitely drop by. Come and join us on the Facebook group if you want to. The link is just below. Love to have you there and share what's going on there. Mike saying I'll volunteer beta testing for the E3. Me too. Jen saying I'm loving Lightburn. It's so intuitive. It is so cool. I'm working hard to get Oz, the creator of Lightburn, onto the live stream. So start thinking about your questions that you have for him, because I've got a feeling we're not going to be able to do it live. I'm going to have to pre-record the interview because of the time difference. But definitely start thinking up questions so you can ask them to him. So that's awesome. Guys, I want to thank you again so much for being here. I've said it a number of times this stream, but I really appreciate you guys coming in. If you know people who might be interested in this stream, please let them know it exists. I want to see if we can raise a few more numbers, viewing numbers on the stream, because I know we're coming up to a, Lightburn and Darkly are going to be like, hey, Gil, let's review what you're doing. Let's see what we can do. So that can help us out. Guys, I will see you in 2 weeks with my laser duel project. The hardest thing this stream has been is not sharing what I've been able to create, but that's going to come up soon. Please continue creating, and share that on the Facebook group. I love to see what you guys are doing. I hope Jen and Mike do not fight over the laser. If they always say, I'm going to say this to Mike, they always say, happy wife, happy life. Just remember that. And if need be, go get yourself another core. Wouldn't that be cool? I think Dominic should give you guys a discount on a second core. It should be kind of like you get two, his and hers. That'd be so kind of awesome. Mal's asking, is there going to be a fight between you and Mike, Jen? And it's like, it's on. There you go. You see what's going on, Dominic? Not only did you end up stepping away from the laser duel, you're causing marital. You're not injuring. What are you? You're putting at stake marital bliss. But what an amazing way to be able to do that. We all know we're joking around. You guys are solid, and it's so great to see what you guys are creating. Guys, I will see you 2 weeks from today with the next laser live stream. Until then, stay safe no matter where you are on this planet, because you know what's going on. It is crazy. We still got the COVID stuff in there. We got to make a laser field or something to kill this COVID off. Go make something amazing, share it with you, and I will see all of you in 2 weeks' time. Till then, stay making some great stuff and just be amazing. We'll see you soon.